All right, so our next Arch Tempered, or Arch Tempered, which is it? I'll just go with Arch Tempered for now. I might switch back and forth between them because it's not that important to me. But yeah, so our next monster here is Vaal Hazak, and I thought he was far easier than Kirin. I mean, I'm not very good at the Kirin fight to begin with, mostly because I constantly avoid it, so I never get the practice that I need to get better at it. But I don't know. Vaal Hazak's a lot easier. He's a bit of a punching bag anyway, so I wasn't expecting to have too much resistance, so to speak, in this hunt. It went fairly smoothly. I didn't really notice anything new. I mean, while this video was like uploading and stuff, I was reading on GameFAQs and a couple other places about how he does have some new moves. Maybe I just wasn't really paying enough attention to see that he has new moves, but hey, I mean, I guess they weren't new enough if I didn't really notice them. I mean, I guess one thing I did kind of notice, I felt like there was more like wind pushback from some of his moves. I don't know if it's just because I haven't fought him for a while or if that's actually something new, but it really didn't make much of a difference in this fight. I mean, going into it, I didn't really know what to expect, but when I first went into Arch Tempered Kirin, I definitely underestimated him. So for this fight, I went in, this set, as you'll see at the end, it has effluvial resistance, whatever, the one that's the 3-point skill. I always get the two mixed up, but I brought that because, like I said, I was kind of scared from the Kirin hunt, and so I just imagined that all of his damaging attacks would go up, including that the effluvia and his like aura or whatever would also do more damage. So I brought that with this set, but other than that, I actually, it took me a little bit to figure out how I wanted to fight him, because most of my lance sets are peak performance sets, but once again, because he's like the Arch Tempered version, I really didn't want to run peak performance against him. I was just imagining the horrors of his aura and then just being in the Veil in general. Yeah, so I dug into the older sets that I'd made, and I had one from when Joe first dropped. So it's a pretty basic set, and that I'll show at the end. I actually don't remember right now exactly what it was, but it's nothing to write home about. Something that is pretty cool, though, is some of the Gamma parts, at least. I mean, it's nothing too exciting, but the gloves, the Gamma braces are pretty good. It's Dragon Attack 3 right out of the box, and then it also has a 3-slot and a 2-slot. So that piece, I mean, any like Dragon Element sets, I could easily see that piece becoming like pretty standard across the board. And the only other parts were I think the chest and the legs, but only because both of those each had some points of peak performance. And I mean, it's just more parts that I could potentially use in some of my peak performance mixes. So anything with that skill, I always keep an eye out for and just kind of add it to the list of potential equips. And the slots are pretty good on them, so I'll have to run it through the armor database and see what pops out, see if any more new sets are possible. I mean, there's definitely a couple sets because of the Arch Kirin. I think the Arch Kirin gloves, I want to say, allowed me to make a couple sets that I couldn't make before. So I'm hoping that's going to be the case here too. Just kind of that slow incremental power creep, I guess. I mean, I guess that's the only thing to call it, really. But in this case, I like it. So, and switching subjects here, but one thing I noticed rewatching this video is just how good the health augment was. I mean, throughout this hunt, if you see my life bar, I mean, I'm constantly pretty low. I mean, mostly that's just due to terrible, sloppy play on my part. But even accounting for my play in this hunt, it just... That health augment is such a powerful augment. I mean, just not having to sheath, being able to continue attacking. I mean, it's definitely a risk, right? There's some times here where looking at it, I don't know what I was thinking. I was like, well, whatever. But it's just because it's gotten me out of a jam so many times in so many hunts, where now I've gotten used to the fact that I don't ever really need to heal. I just need to play better. I need to get back in there, whether that means playing more defensively, picking my shots better, don't get hit and hit the monster until it dies, right? I just need to get good. But yeah, I mean, I really just can't say enough about the health augment, especially between some of the fights that we've had recently with Lunestra, especially the tempered version of Lunestra. That health augment helps so much. But even in this fight, I mean, it's just an absolute godsend. That between that and maximum effluvial resistance, there's really not much different about this fight. Those two things pretty much completely neutralize Vaal Hazak, and so it's just a matter of just going through the motions, right? I mean, especially if you fought the tempered version a bunch for decorations, which a lot of people did, because he's considered by most people, and myself included, to be, the easiest elder. And it really doesn't seem like his Arch Tempered version does anything to change that status. So that basically just leaves us with Kushala and Nurg as the only elders who don't have Arch Tempered versions. And between those two, Kushala, that seems like Nightmare City. I'm definitely not looking forward to that at all. Nurg, on the other hand, I'm completely looking forward to. I think the Nergigante fight is going to be so fun. It's definitely one of my favorite hunts in the world. I mean, there's something about that hunt. I just love hunting him. I can hunt him over and over and over again. He looks cool. The hunt doesn't really have a bunch of annoying mechanics, so it's just kind of brute force versus brute force. And it's kind of fun to be able to go around his, break his spikes, break his head spikes, break his arm spikes, break his other arm spikes, break his wings. So there's a nice little kind of he's like training session for like the rest of the elders, I feel like, in a way. But I'm very excited for the Arch Tempered version of Nergigante. So hopefully that comes out soon. But something that is coming out soon is going to be the Behemoth, right? And that is blowing my mind. When I saw that leak, and I can't remember who posted it, so I feel super bad. But I found it on GameFAQs. Someone had got it after it had been taken down, and I watched that. And I'll see if I can't dig that link up. But man, Monster Hunter for the first time is having that crossover and having an outside monster. That opens up all kinds of possibilities. I mean, obviously with that first DLC, I remember having a lot of discussions with people about Thunderjaw, like from Horizon, which would be kind of cool. I mean, if they're gonna open up that door, then I say go wild, make all kinds of stuff. The only potential downside I could see, and the only hesitation I have about it, is that if they spend all this time and resources on putting in monsters, crossover monsters from other games, things that are outside the Monster Hunter universe, that could potentially slow down development on whether G rank or Monster Hunter World 2 or Monster Hunter World Ultimate or whatever direction they're going to take it. But I mean, as cool as like Behemoth is, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I am super stoked. I mean, that's a milestone in Monster Hunter history. But I also want new maps. I want new original monsters from the Monster Hunter universe. I want new weapons. World really is, for as great as the game is, and as much as I love it, it definitely has weapon variety issues. And so, in content, I mean, it just needs more and more and more and more. Unfortunately, there's no simple solution to it. So, but I'm pretty confident that they're gonna get there. I'm not actually too worried about it. But sometimes it's nice to voice those kind of concerns within the community, and that's just to get people talking and thinking about the game. So yeah, the hunt's starting to wind down now. He ends up dying here in just a bit, and I think it was just under 11, so like 10:54, I believe. But if I can find the time, I'm going to try to lower that time, mostly because of where he appears or seems to appear. I mean, I need to run this more. I mean, since I did this the first time, I've run it one other time, but he seems to appear up in the Vaal, not down below, so you don't have to wait for him, which is really nice, and that's great for anybody who's wanting to run him, just to get better times. I mean, this was one thing I was actually kind of dreading it. I really didn't want to have to wait for him to walk out into that little lower acid pool area. It's one of the reasons that I've never submitted a time for Vaal, actually. That part, I just, it's too annoying, and I just don't care enough. And that's going to wrap things up for me. I think, I mean, obviously I'm going to go run him some more. I got to make the armor, got to have the whole set. Probably got to do it on my file for Illumina as well, which is a pain. I didn't even get her the Kirin set. I was just like, whatever, I don't even care. But anyway, happy hunting.